You're born at a private suite at Johns Hopkins. Your mother requested it specifically, not because of medical complications, but because the standard maternity wing felt inappropriate. Three security consultants wait in the hallway. Your father misses the delivery by 40 minutes because he's on call with someone from the Pentagon. Your first photograph appears in the business section of a major newspaper before your parents even bring you home. You didn't ask for this, but it asked for you. Your childhood unfolds across a compound in Northern Virginia that doesn't appear on any public map. The estate spans 90 acres of woodland, surrounded by a perimeter fence disguised as rustic fencing. There are horse stables, a private airstrip, a guest house larger than most homes. The main residence has 14 bedrooms. You'll never use most of them. You have everything a child could want, except fellow children to share it with. You don't attend school with other kids. Tutors arrive in black sedans, vetted by the same people who screen foreign diplomats. You don't have sleepovers. You don't ride your bike to a friend's house. The few children you interact with are sons and daughters of your father's business partners, and those playdates feel more like diplomatic summits than childhood. Your first clear memory involves the silence. It's not literal silence. There are always people, always movement, always the low hum of machinery and distant voices. But there's a deeper quiet, a carefulness in the way people speak around you, a weight in every room your father enters. He's kind when he's present, generous, attentive, curious about your thoughts, but he's rarely present for long. There's always a meeting, always a flight, always a crisis only he can solve. When he does give you his full attention, it feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. Warm, intense, and temporary. You're 9 years old when you finally ask the question every child in your position eventually asks. What does dad actually do? Your mother, elegant and composed, the daughter of a senator, explains that he runs a company, that the company provides equipment and services to the government, that it keeps people safe. You believe her because children believe their mothers, but you've already noticed the men in suits who follow your father everywhere. You've seen the way certain visitors speak in fragments, in code, in reference to places that don't appear on any map you've studied. Your education is designed for a specific outcome that you don't yet understand. Your father insists on intellectual rigor. I learn through necessity, he tells you. You'll learn through opportunity. He says this often enough that it becomes a kind of mantra, though the meaning stays blurry for years. You study languages, Mandarin, Arabic, Russian. You study economics, international relations, military history. Your tutors are former professors, former analysts, former things they never quite explain. By 13, you can discuss supply chain logistics, geopolitical risk assessment, and game theory. But the real education happens in margins and silences. You learn that information is currency. You learn that access is power. You learn that the people who appear most important are rarely the ones who matter most. At 14, your father takes you to your first official event. It's a gala in Washington. Crystal chandeliers, men in tuxedos, women in gowns that cost more than houses. Politicians, generals, executives. They blur together into a single mass of handshakes and measured smiles. Your father guides you through the crowd like a chess master explaining a board. That man controls 3 Senate votes. That woman oversees the Defense Appropriations Committee. That couple, they look unremarkable, but they've shaped foreign policy for 2 decades. At one point, he places his hand on your shoulder and speaks to a group of men whose names you'll later see in history books. This is my son. Someday he'll sit where I sit. They nod with something that looks like respect but feels heavier. In that moment, you stop being just a child. You become something else. The heir. You meet Marcus around this time. He's in his 50s, gray at the temples, with a kind of face that looks permanently tired. He carries a leather briefcase and speaks in numbers and percentages. Your father treats him with a respect that's different from how he treats everyone else. Not deference exactly, but recognition of essential value. Marcus makes it all possible, your father explains. The generals win wars. The lobbyists shape policy, but Marcus, he's the one who turns everything into something sustainable. Marcus's official title is Chief Financial Officer. His real function is architect of an empire. He explains it to you one afternoon in terms a teenager can understand. Your father's company builds things the government needs: drones, surveillance systems, logistic platforms. The government pays for these things with contracts, but contracts are complicated. They have to follow rules, satisfy regulations, survive audits. My job is to structure everything so the money flows cleanly, so the relationships remain productive, so the entire system keeps functioning. You ask if it's difficult. He laughs, a hollow sound like wind through empty rooms. Difficult isn't the word. It's a maze that changes shape every day, and the penalties for getting lost aren't financial, they're existential. Your adolescence becomes a study in parallel lives. Part of the year, you attend a prestigious boarding school in Massachusetts. You're just another wealthy kid. Your roommate's father owns a hedge fund. Your classmate's mother runs a pharmaceutical company. Nobody treats you differently because, at that level, everyone has secrets. You play lacrosse, you go to dances. You have a girlfriend who thinks your family is in government consulting. Then you return to Virginia, to the compound, to the armored vehicles and encrypted phones and conversations that stop when you enter rooms. At 17, you receive your first real gift from your father. Not the cars or watches or trips, but something heavier. He hands you a folder containing background reports on 3 of your closest friends from school: their families' financial situations, their parents' professional connections, their potential vulnerabilities. This isn't suspicion, he says when he sees your expression. This is preparation. You need to understand what everyone around you represents. Not because they're enemies, but because in our world, ignorance is the only true weakness. You don't sleep that night, or the next. You begin to understand the business properly. Your father no longer shields you from complexity. The company, your family's company, generates roughly $8 billion in annual revenue. It employs 40,000 people across 30 countries. It manufactures weapon systems, surveillance technology, cybersecurity infrastructure. It trains military personnel, provides intelligence analysis, manages entire military installations overseas. None of this is illegal. All of it exists in shadows. The real power isn't in what the company builds. It's in what the company knows. Decades of classified contracts have given your family access to information that governments would kill to protect. Your father doesn't threaten anyone with this knowledge. He doesn't have to. Its existence is leverage enough. Marcus walks you through the financial architecture one evening.
We operate through 237 subsidiaries in 41 jurisdictions. The structure serves multiple purposes: tax efficiency, regulatory compliance, liability protection, but the deeper function is obscurity. No single entity can see the complete picture. No auditor can trace every connection. The complexity itself is a defense mechanism.
You ask what happens if someone tries to unravel it.
By the time they understood what they're looking at, the structure would have already changed. It's not about hiding anything illegal. It's about maintaining control of your own narrative.
At 20, you're officially a junior executive at the company. Unofficially, you're being groomed for succession. You attend board meetings where men 3 times your age defer to your father's judgment on matters that shape international relations. You sit in on negotiations where the stakes involve not millions, but billions. Not companies, but countries. You learn that the line between public and private owner is an illusion. Governments need what your family provides. They can't function without it. And that dependency creates a relationship that transcends politics, elections, and administrations. Your father teaches you about balance.
Power isn't about domination,
He says during one of your rare one-on-one dinners.
It's about equilibrium. You want everyone to need you just enough that they can't move against you, but not so much that they resent the dependency. The moment they feel trapped, they start looking for alternatives. The moment they feel free, they forget why they needed you.
You start drinking at 22. Not excessively, just enough to quiet the noise that accumulates throughout each day. Whiskey after difficult calls, wine with solitary dinners, a ritual that helps you forget briefly the weight of what you're inheriting. Your father notices within weeks.
Be careful,
He says without elaboration. In his world, That's the extent of emotional guidance. Marcus shows you projections that reshape your understanding of scale. The company's influence extends far beyond its official operations. Through PACs, through foundations, through carefully structured donations, your family shapes electoral outcomes in dozens of congressional districts. Not through crude bribery, through strategic investment in candidates who understand the mutual benefits of cooperation.
We don't control anyone,
Marcus explains.
we create alignment. We support people whose interests naturally overlap with ours. When they succeed, we succeed. It's symbiosis, not coercion.
You point out that the distinction might be semantic. He shrugs.
All relationships are about leverage. At least we're honest about the mechanics.
Your life is completely surreal. You're 25. You sit on the boards of 3 companies, advise a think tank that shapes defense policy, and maintain social relationships with the children of world leaders. Your passport contains stamps from countries the State Department warns Americans not to visit. But behind the legitimacy is another reality. Your security detail has doubled since college. Your communications are monitored. For your protection, you're told. You can't travel anywhere without advanced coordination. You can't form relationships without background checks. You can't speak freely even in your own home. You're like the crown prince of a kingdom nobody knows exists. One night, you and Marcus sit in his office after everyone else has left. "Can I ask you something personal?" you say. He nods, pouring himself a drink. "Do you ever think about what you're doing if you hadn't ended up here?" He's silent for a long moment.
I was recruited out of Harvard Business School, top of my class. I had offers from every major bank, every consulting firm. I chose this because it felt meaningful, important, like I'd be part of something that mattered.
And now?
Now I'm 57 years old, and I know enough to be dangerous to some very powerful people, which means I'll never really be free. Not that I'd know what to do with freedom at this point.
You watch your father age faster than time should allow. He's 61 but moves like a man of 75. Decades of stress, responsibility, threat. 3 assassination attempts that you know of. Probably more that you don't. Investigations that never quite reach him, but never stop circling. Relationships are sacrificed to the altar of the company. Your parents' marriage exists as a strategic alliance now, nothing more. This is your future. If you're fortunate, extraordinarily fortunate, you'll navigate another 30 years of this. You'll expand the empire, protect its secrets, maintain the delicate web of dependencies that keeps everything functioning. And then, if you're lucky, you'll hand it to your own child before the weight finally breaks you. If you're not fortunate, the endings are less pleasant. Prosecution, exposure, the kind of failure that doesn't just destroy careers, but erases legacies. There are no happy endings in dynasties built on power. There are only endings that preserve what came before. You are the heir to an empire that exists between nations, beyond ordinary accountability. You were raised in luxury that doubled as containment. You have unlimited resources and absolutely no freedom. You're surrounded constantly by people who need you, fear you, depend on you, and not a single one who truly knows you. Every morning you wake up carrying a weight you didn't choose, but can never set down. This is your inheritance. You're the prince of a kingdom built on influence and secrets. And the cruelest part isn't that you can't escape. It's that after all this time, you're no longer certain you'd want to. This is your world. And somewhere beneath the doubt and exhaustion, part of you has started to wonder if you were always meant for exactly this, or if that's just what captivity eventually feels like when it's comfortable enough.